Hello and welcome to another exclusive interview by Recovery Today Magazine at recoverytodaymagazine.com, where first and foremost we are a magazine of hope. Whether you're considering addiction recovery for yourself or someone that you love, or you're actively in recovery, maybe a little while or maybe it's many, many years, you're going to find all kinds of information, topics related to addiction, recovery, and really living a happy, successful, and sober life in Recovery Today. My name's Rob Hanley. I'm the editor-in-chief of Recovery Today. And as usual, I say it almost every time, but I'm really particularly excited about the guest that we have today. This is Michael Lohan. Michael's an ordained minister. He's an investment banker. He's a drug and alcohol treatment center owner and operator, or a writer, public speaker, and a father, most notably to the public figure, his daughter, actress Lindsay Lohan. Michael, thanks for taking a minute to jump on.
Hey, Rob. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, I'm really, really looking forward to it. So we featured you just a few issues back, 2, 3, 4 issues back, with our editor and your friend, Sherry Gaba from Celebrity Rehab. But today I want to talk about actually a project that you're involved in that's really exciting. It's the cutting edge, I would say, in the detox world, combining the latest brain technologies, detox protocols, and the results that I've heard and the results that I know about from some of this are really, really amazing. It's called Ascend, Detox and Recovery, and I'm pretty blown away, candidly, about what I've heard so far. We're going to plan, as you know, we've talked about this, really tracking from the launch all the way through everything that you got going on, and I've been blown away by some of the conversations you have. So I guess to kick everything on, to kind of properly frame this, like, it's brand new, it's cutting edge, it's combining a lot of things in here. Like, so give us the skinny, like, what is this whole project and where is it going?
Well, thank you. And let me put it this way. Yes, it is. It's unique. And very advanced in that it's all under one umbrella. I'm not going to say that these modalities and these treatment processes aren't out there already, but they're not under one roof, and that's what we're doing. We're bringing all of these medical and holistic technologies and modalities and protocols under one roof in a hospital setting. And the reason why we feel it's important in a hospital setting is because we have all the equipment there. And let's face it, you know this and I know this. If someone's been using for a year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years or more, they're not getting better in 30 days. There's absolutely no way it's going to happen. Are there, like, very unique cases where that happens? Absolutely. When someone has an epiphany, like I did, where I got in a car accident and died, and they had to resuscitate me, and then I had to go to jail over it. Then some people.
I didn't know the died part. I didn't know the die. I didn't know the I died part.
Oh yeah. No, I died. I died February 19th of 2005. I died.
Long? For how long? I don't want to derail you, but I just don't meet people that have died very often.
Well, they said it was 7 minutes before they found me. So
wow,
it was remarkable that I'm here.
That is remarkable. Okay, sorry about that. Go on. So you had an epiphany.
That's fine. So, some people have an epiphany and they turn it around. Some people, they go to all these treatment centers and finally they get it. And my question is, if someone went to one treatment center or 15 treatment centers, what did they learn the 15th time that they didn't learn the first time? Why do some people stop after the first, the 5th, or the 10th? To me, they just they said that's it. And it's their willpower that says, I'm done. Yeah. But in most cases, that's not the case. And that's why we have such a high relapse rate. And I know they say it's 94%, 96% relapse rate. We don't know what the real number is, but I will tell you it's, 8 or 9 out of 10 people that go to treatment do relapse in the first 3 to 4 months when they get out. So my argument was always, what is the problem? Why are people relapsing? Because I felt like I was failing. In my treatment center, I did one-on-one every day. People got EMDR, which is deep trauma therapy. We had a personal chef, nutrition, all these things. And I had a yacht in the backyard. They went out and had meetings on the weekends. They had all the amenities, all the luxuries, and all the treatment that they needed. But the problem is this. We were talking to the brain. When you have one-on-one therapy, when you have group therapy, big book studies, AA meetings, all you're doing is talking. You're not going to heal the brain by talking. You have to treat it. So if you're just talking to it and dealing with the psychological and clinical issues, that's one thing. but we're not treating it from a medical standpoint, the healing standpoint, because let's face it, the brain suffers a lot of damage through drug and alcohol abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of it. And if you look at a brain map or a brain scan or a QEG, you'll see that. So I said to myself and to my partners, I've been crying from the hilltops for the last 3 years, saying we have to do the medical side. We have to treat the brain and heal the brain so that at least if the brain is healed in the detox process, they're more in a better place to get the psychological treatment they need. Because what's happening now, Rob, is that insurance companies are only allowing for 5 to 7 days of detox. How are you going to detox someone on benzos or alcohol in 5 to 7 days? I'm not saying that with amphetamines like cocaine or with opiates like heroin, you're not going to heal quicker and rebound quicker. It still takes a longer time than 5 to 7 days. But when it comes to benzos, Suboxone, and alcohol, it could take months. So I said to my partners, why don't we set up a program where we treat the brain, we're doing detox and treat the brain over an extended period of time. I'm talking 2-3 weeks, and really, really treat the brain and continue that as much as we can when they go to residential or PHP, and especially in IOP. But let's put them in a place where when they go to treatment, they're more cognizant to get the treatment they need.
So what is it? Let me ask this. I know that you know a lot more about this than me, and certainly more than the average person on the street. But you're not a doctor, but I guess for a layman, what actually happens in the brain when you're using? I know we talk about we're about the same age, and here's your brain on drug. You fry your brain and stuff like that. But what actually is going on? Because I did hear.
You really do.
When we were talking to Michelle, the CEO, she said this heals the brain, and that's in medical terms. That's like a real. That actually we just use it around. Oh, I got healed this, but that's a real gravity term when you're talking to a doctor about healing the brain. So, what actually what's broken and what gets healed?
Well, first of all, the circuitry is broken. All of the neurotransmitters and the receptors and everything. And that's another important factor to really understand. There's a direct connection between the brain and the stomach. And leaky gut syndrome is a big part of this. Most of your receptors are in your stomach. So nutrition and what you're doing, eating, so on and so forth, has a lot to do with it too. And that's why alcoholism is, you have some major issues with it, especially with detox, because it's affecting your stomach. And your organs too. But we're more concerned about the brain at first, and that's why even in a hospital, if people have some liver damage or some heart damage from arrhythmia from using amphetamines or whatever the cases may be, or Hep C or something, we can treat them in a hospital setting, and that's why I like this so much. But getting back to the brain damage, there's circuitry problems, there's neurotransmitting problems, and there's brain chemistry problems. And part of that is because when people go into treatment or detox, they're taking them off drugs by using drugs. And sometimes that even furthers the brain chemistry imbalance. So I'm not saying that they can do it otherwise.
Or they put them on Suboxone or something like that for the rest of their life or something.
Yeah, well, Suboxone Suboxone was made as a detox protocol. It wasn't made for maintenance, and that's one of the problems, because now these MAT clinics are using Suboxone for long-term maintenance of opiates, and they're not looking at the long-term effects, and it damages your organs, your bones and so on and so forth. So, as a matter of fact, we'll get into that later, but there is a pharmaceutical company called Tonix Pharmaceutical in New York that actually is coming out with non-narcotic and non-addicting medication that actually treats opioid abuse, PTSD, cocaine abuse, and alcoholism. And it's all non-narcotic and they've spent over $200 million on development so far in their trials. And we're going to be doing some more at the hospital for them. But they actually have a new drug coming out that's just like Narcan, but it works on amphetamines. People don't understand that 20% of all overdoses are because of cocaine or crack or arrhythmia. So they have a drug that acts in the same way Narcan does for opiate overdose that works on amphetamines. So there's a lot of things out there people don't know about that we're going to be using. Tonix is going to be a big part of our program. But getting back to what we were saying, so if you're not detoxing someone properly and trying to heal them while they're detoxing, they're not going to be in a good position to really get the therapy they need. So when people leave detox after 5 to 7 days and they go into treatment for 30 days, which is all insurance companies are really allowing, Are they really getting therapy? They're still detoxing. They're not cognizant enough to really go through EMDR and some of the trauma therapies that they're going through. They sit in a room and they go through. I saw it in my own facility. They sit in a room and they talk about their woes and their all of their misgivings and so on and so forth. And is that good? Yeah, because they can compare notes with other people on what they did wrong. But at the same time, it's not going to get them sober. Not at this point. At some point, they have to save it for later. Save it for the rooms in AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery, or whatever, or in just private groups. But at this stage in the game, the most important thing that we have to deal with is detoxing a person properly and healing their brain so when they go to treatment.
Let's jump right into that. Like what? So we've had conversations about this, and I've talked to the CEO about it. I was really excited. I knew some about this before. We actually featured another place before that was doing some similar kind of things. But let's jump into some of this stuff that's kind of new and what the approach will be. Because first of all, the approach for most places, I think maybe I'd say almost all places for a rehab, is to first detox is to, well, maybe not all, but a lot, most of them say medical detox with drugs. So what is the protocol here, and what's kind of the different, because it is exciting.
Well, there's a number of different kind of protocols that we use. First of all, when a client comes in, I call them clients, when a client comes in, they get a brain map, so we can see what the damage to the brain has done.
Oh, wow. Like an X-ray, is that what?
Exactly. An X-ray of the brain, it tells us where it's functioning, where it's lacking in function, where the receptors are misfiring, and so on and so forth. And then we treat it. There's a treatment protocol set up with either neurofeedback, biofeedback, or TMS, which is transcranial magnetic stimulation, which is low frequency waves that are administered through little what do you call them? Little gadgets put on your head. Anyway, and they balance the brain waves. And then while they're doing that, we have another product called Enlight. Enlight has two products, Enlight and Enlight D. One is a prescription, one is not prescription. All it is B-folates, and it helps balance the brain chemistry.
Say again, B-folates?
B-folates. Our body is basically made up of B vitamins, but the B-folates are extremely important when it comes to brain chemistry. And what they do is it balances your endorphins, your serotonin and dopamine. We know that both of those endorphins are big factors in addiction because the feel-good drugs, and when they're out of whack from even use of drugs, that's another problem, is that when they come out of treatment, some people are put on medications, not addicting medications, but on medications like Zoloft and things that don't agree with them, and it's furthering the brain chemistry imbalance. So we have to get them on the right drugs. That's another thing we do. When someone comes in to get a PGX test, a PGX test is a genomics test. It's a simple math.
I know that one, yeah.
But it tells you if the medication you're on is being metabolized properly.
And they might also have adverse reactions to combinations.
Exactly.
The drug companies say, oh, no, it's fine, but then it's not fine for you. That's the problem, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's even good for heart medication or blood pressure medication or cholesterol, any kind of medication, but especially good when it comes to, when treating someone with medication for mental health issues or addiction. So we do the brain scan, we treat the brain, we do a PGX test to see what kind of medication they can or can't be on. And then in the process of that, there's a whole IV protocol that we look at as well. There's three products. One is called NAD, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. Yep. Another one is LDN, which is low-dose naltrexone, which helps with inflammation and your immune system. And then ketamine. Ketamine, people think is a cat tranquilizer, animal tranquilizer. Yes, it is used for that, but at the same time, when done in an IV in a low dose, it has amazing effects on different kind of psychological trauma that people have. So those are the three of the other protocols. I mean, NAD is especially remarkable because NAD is a fluid that's in every one of the cells in our body. And
okay, so let me stop real quick because I've got a whole bunch of questions, and you're taking one of my questions here.
Go ahead. Fire away.
So, because the thing I was most excited about, I know what PGX testing is, I know what ketamine is, I have never heard of LLDN, and I haven't heard of Enlight. He's gone through a lot of really cool stuff, but something that I do know that I'm really excited about is NAD, this nicotinamide, whatever it was.
Adenine dinucleotide.
And I found out about it originally by watching this guy that's, probably older than me. That looks like he's about 35, Dr. David Sinclair of Harvard. He was on Joe Rogan, and he was talking all about not only stopping aging, but reverse aging. And so I'm 54. I want to be younger. I'd like to be 30 if I could. And so I'm really into this kind of thing. And so the whole idea of using it, this NAD that keeps you younger, it kind of fits in with the whole healing the brain part. So, like, how does that work? How does the NAD part, or is that, maybe they all work together and I'm just excited about one part of it, but like...
Well, they do. And NAD was mostly used as an anti-aging protocol, in a protocol for anti-aging. And what it does, it's a fluid. It's in every single one of the cells in our body. And inside our cells are three things. There's mitochondria, which is a battery for your cell. Mm-hmm. There's the telemarkers, and then you have NAD. And as you get old, whether from stress, anxiety, depression, aging process, but especially alcohol or drug abuse, you deplete your NAD, and in doing so, your mitochondria, which is a battery, start to dry up. They don't have the fluid embracing it anymore. So when that happens, that's why a heroin addict or an alcoholic starts to look old when they use too much. But then, if they get sober and they heal, the NAD replenishes, and all of a sudden they start to look vibrant and they get healthy again. Have you ever seen a heroin addict that went from being in great shape to being skinny as a rail?
Yeah, totally,
and then they get clean and they get beefed up again?
Yeah.
It's because the NAD is coming back and their body is healing again. So by infusing them with NAD, you're speeding up the healing process. I've seen people that have used for 15 years use NAD, and after 3 to 5 days, it's like they never used before. They don't have any cravings, and they don't even go to treatment. They stay sober. But
that is so crazy. I mean, obviously one of the questions I had here was like, well, what are the results? But I mean, when I've heard this before, it's pretty revolutionary.
But you have heard it before. And now ask me, why aren't more people doing this?
I don't know. I mean, I got a conspiratorial mind, so I was thinking, well, where's the money? I guess.
That's it. It's the money. Insurance doesn't cover it, and it's expensive. It's about $500 to $1,000 a treatment, and it takes anywhere from 5 to 10 days. So you're talking about good money, $2,500 to $5,000.
Okay, so I want to skip over this part because I do want to circle this and highlight this and put stars all around it. So when people do this therapy, okay, with all of these things, but we're kind of particularly almost talking about NAD right now, they do this protocol and then they don't have cravings. They're not using again. They're not. I mean,
I'm not going to say for every person, but most people know. Nope.
That's like remarkable.
Yeah, and we're doing it. We're doing it anyway. If people don't have the money for it, we're still doing it.
I'll lead you to this one because I have heard this too. What do they look like?
What do you mean? What do they look like?
What do they look like physically, like after they've started to do their skin, their body, because it is an anti-aging.
Yeah, but it's not how much they look; it's how they feel and how coherent they are. Over time, listen, it's not the kind of thing where you're going to infuse somebody and do an IV drip on them, and in 3 days they look like they never used again. No, of course they're still going to look. They're going to feel better. It's going to speed up the healing process, and within a shorter amount of time, they're going to look fantastic.
It's like going. I mean, the whole thing. It sounds like going like in a time machine. Like I never used, type of a.
It's amazing stuff.
That is really, really amazing.
Really?
So, this is kind of a new protocol for Ascend because Ascend is new. This is started from another company. I guess Formation. It's new text, but like. What kind they're treated right now? This is happening. People are getting this right now. They're getting this protocol right now, right?
Yes, of course they are. Yep.
So what is talking about the anecdotal side that they feel great, they look great, they don't want to use again, they don't have any cravings, which is pretty remarkable in itself. I know that I also want to spotlight the part that this is hospitals, this is doctors, and doctors are very data and clinically driven. Like, what is the clinical or the brain mapping? What does it look like then? What's the
that's a good part. I love the fact that you're touching on these things, because when you're dealing, our staff are almost all doctors, and nurses, and qualified medical professionals. It's not just, you don't have a bunch of people with a bunch of...
It's not like a placebo.
No, and you don't have a bunch of people that are therapists with letters behind their names that were in treatment 2-3 years ago, and now they get a license and they're therapists. These are medical professionals that know what they're doing, and they take this very, very seriously. I don't want to be cynical about this, but I owned a treatment center. I was around a lot of people that own treatment centers. It costs a lot of money to market your treatment center. There's a lot of competition out there. And I hate to say it, but a lot of treatment centers would rather have someone relapse and treat them again and get paid again than send someone out and have to market again and spend, $100 to $500 to $1 million a month to get more clients in. I know it's cynical, but it's a stark reality.
Part of the model. That's part of the model.
It's sad. It's like, even with, look, and I'm not just saying the treatment, the substance abuse treatment industry. How about cancer? And how about other diseases? There are cures for a lot of these things, but they'd rather treat them than cure people.
Well, why not have them pay monthly for, forever, man?
Right. Let's give them chemo. Let's give them radiation when there is a resolution that they could, there's a lot of, I don't want to get into it, but personally, there's someone in my family who was affected by cancer a couple of times, all stage 2 to stage 4 cancer, and he got a treatment that the government doesn't really recognize, and he's better.
Yeah.
He's in remission.
Yeah.
And I know other people that have stage 4 that are better because they didn't follow the standard treatment protocol. And the same thing with the treatment industry. It's a cookie cutter protocol.
Yeah. I always think about follow the money, and when you'd ask the other question, I'm like, well, where's the money, added? And I know client acquisition, getting somebody new to come in is a big deal. And then probably where would you go back if you had a relationship? So I know that a lot of these things, it can be a revolving door. Obviously, it stands to reason that as I'm going along the question, that's not the intent here. The intent is like, come in, get better, be on your way.
Yes, but also we want them to continue to stay sober. So there's certain things that we recommend for them, not necessarily by coming. We'd like them to come back and continue some of the protocols with us, but if not, we'll set them up with someone else to get it done on an outpatient basis. And that's why Nutex, which is a hospital group and owns a number of other hospitals, some are not big enough for a full detox model, so we're going to use them for outpatient clinics where people can come back and they can get their neurotherapy or get infusions, or even we're doing, when people leave our programs, we're offering Vivitrol. We have a MAT program too, but it's not using Suboxone or methadone. Our products are non-addicting, non-narcotic, like Vivitrol, like naltrexone implants, which is a minor 12-minute surgery that lasts for 3 months and stops your cravings for alcohol and opiates. And then with Tonix's products, we're going to implement those protocols too.
Does this work also, or does it have, beyond substance abuse or substance abuse disorder, what about other things like
PTSD? Yes.
I was thinking PTSD, depression, anxiety is the first 3, but then even there's other stuff. I mean, there's even beyond that. There's gambling. There's stuff like that of course,
doesn't work like gambling and things like that, because that's more psychological than anything. This deals, and let's face it, a gambler doesn't have brain damage. Yeah, they have moral issues, but they don't have brain damage from gambling.
Okay, well let's stick. We got enough on the plate here between. Yeah. All of the drug and alcohol, PTSD, depression, and anxiety. And what about PTSD? Because I know that substance abuse is very interlinked with trauma. And anxiety and depression, I think, are like the same kind of thing.
Hand in hand.
Okay, so how does it work with that kind of stuff? Because I'm thinking that's brain balancing also.
Well, people might want to look at Tonix Pharmaceuticals, Tonix, and look at one of their products called Tonmay, Tonmay. They have a product that's amazing for PTSD. As a matter of fact, it's been they've been doing all their trials with people that have the worst cases of PTSD, and that's veterans and guys in the military and first responders, and they're having amazing results. So products like that we're using for, for people. And like you said, I don't think there's anyone that has an addiction problem that doesn't have some form of PTSD.
Right.
Did it come before the addiction issue or after? It's like the chicken and the egg. I don't know. Some people had started drinking and then horrific things happened to them and they developed PTSD. They could have been arrested. They could have been abused. They could have, certain things could have happened. Maybe, gotten a divorce, and that's another issue with PTSD. Or was it the divorce that led to drinking or the abuse that led to using drugs or whatever? So it's a chicken and the egg thing, but regardless, PTSD is a common denominator. And we have to treat it, and that's why we do treat it along with, and it's a mental health issue. So, mental health, PTSD, and addiction all go hand in hand.
Right. They do. What's the average stay? How long does somebody stay there? You mentioned inpatient. What's the?
We've had people stay for 2 weeks. We've had people stay for a month. Hopefully we can get a month out. Insurance companies don't like, and it's all based on insurance. It's a shame. One of the questions you're probably going to ask is, do you take insurance? Yes. Yep. We're in network. We take Medicare, and we also take out of work. Yeah, Medicare.
Medicare?
We take Medicare.
Nobody takes Medicare. That's like, really?
If someone has Medicare and they need help, come to us. We'll help you.
Oh my, wow, that's pretty remarkable.
And I hate to say this, but I'd rather treat someone with Medicare because those are the ones that can't afford to get the treatment that they need.
Well, that's how everything is. The ones that are the most need are the ones that get the least, of anything.
Well, not when it comes to us, because we're here to help anyone.
Medicare. Wow, that's.
We certainly do.
That's a new one, I would say. Also, I didn't know that.
Yep.
So I guess I'm going to tangent a little bit because you started off about like insurance companies, like I guess related to this project, and then also your own thoughts. Like, what are your thoughts on these insurance companies? Like, we had Congressman Patrick Kennedy on our cover about a year or so ago. We're talking about the mental health parity law. Like, you have good insurance, they're supposed to cover you like pancreatic cancer or something. And the treatment center will even check the insurance, and it's good, and it works, and then they won't pay. It's put a lot of treatment centers out of business and stuff. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, some of those treatment centers need to be out of business because it was more about the income than outcome. So,
fair enough.
I totally get it, and I believe, in God, and God has His way, and His karma, and when people have the wrong intentions, sooner or later it's going to come back and bite them in the butt, no matter how you look at it.
Yep.
And listen, nothing goes unseen forever. God exposes those doing the wrong thing.
I believe it.
And that happens. But insurance companies are part of the problem here. If they really did, I wrote a white paper on this, and I sent it to DC, and it was based on evidence-based insurance and evidence-based reimbursements, where treatment centers were held to a task. Don't pay them all at once. Spread it out and say, instead of paying you for 1 month this amount, we're going to pay you for 3 months. And if people stay clean, you'll continue to get paid. But if they relapse, you're not getting paid.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, and that's how it should be, honestly.
I've not heard that one before, so that kind of takes out the revolving door out of, I have heard.
It does.
We're probably even going to feature something. I was talking to a guy that he was saying that, places would have people go there, and then they would. It was just diabolical. They'd have other people bring them drugs so that they could leave and then go to another place. So I know there's a lot of bad actors that are out there, in it.
Yeah, there's a guy who's an expert in this. His name is Andrew Berkey. He is he's the director of he's a director of corporate policy for the Handley Foundation. And the guy's amazing, an amazing guy on the Hill all the time, speaking all over. And he has a great model for evidence-based reimbursements that I really think the government needs to take a look at.
Good deal. Well, so one thing here as well is that with this being a new protocol, do you think that it might, or a newer protocol, using NAD and all the other things here that Ascend is doing? Do you expect that will kind of differ in the eyes of the insurance companies a little bit as well?
I do. I certainly, and that's a great question again, Rob. If insurance companies seeing that they're paying a little bit,
I come up with one or two once in a while.
no, you have a lot of. See, you're on point because you've done this so much. You know what needs to be done and what's being done the wrong way, and so on and so forth. So you're able to fine point the questions that mean a lot, and they do. And I think that insurance companies, when they see that if they go through our program and people are not relapsing, they're going to want to send more people there because they don't have to pay for more treatment. And I will say this, I'm not going to guarantee it, but I will say it, that if people go through our detox program, I don't even think they need to go to 30 days of treatment. I think they can go to IOP and go back to their families where they won't lose their jobs and they can get back into their life and just continue in an IOP program with a good support system.
Wow.
But continue doing the other protocols.
That's really, really huge. That's really, really huge. So are they also doing therapy? I mean, they're talking to therapists.
Or they get therapy while they're in detox. Yeah, because they're more cognizant. They can. And we have an amazing...
This is like they have a moment of clarity, and then they're like, oh, my God, this is what happened to me. Now everything makes sense, and it starts lining up mentally and emotionally.
Right. So let's speed up the process. So it's not only while they're detoxing, now they're in a better position, more cognizant to really get some therapy. And we have a great doctor named Dr. Von Bryant that is amazing with the clients. So while they're in, they're going to get one-on-one every single day. They're going to sometime one-on-one every day, and they're going to have groups, and they're going to get the other treatment protocols, whether it's the neurotherapy, they're going to be getting the IV therapy, and they're going to get an encompassing program that truly focuses on the mind and the body, and also we have a spiritual component that's in there too.
Oh, very cool. I didn't know it was faith-based.
Oh, look, I won't do anything without a spiritual component. I mean, I went to Teen Challenge. I worked at Teen Challenge. They sent me to Bible Challenge. And I truly believe that with God, anything is possible. Without Him, nothing is possible. But I think the most important thing when people look at the whole spiritual component, God, to some people that don't believe in God, or they're atheist or whatever, or agnostic, they have to realize that God represents good. And everything other than that represents bad. Let's call it the devil, Satan, whatever you want to call it. And either you're going to live a good life or you're going to live a life that's not good. You're going to live in the light or you're going to live in the darkness. And whenever you go to do something, whether it's drugs, alcohol, being mean to somebody, always ask this question: is this something God would want me to do?
Yeah.
And that's why I think the spiritual component is so important, because it helps you implement that in your.
But it's a spiritual component. It's not like it's not like it's a Christian component or a Christian place or something like that.
No, I mean, look, this sits on my desk. This is all I do. This is all I read. But that's my life. That's all my life. It's all about God, and that's what keeps me sober. That's my AA.
I like
God has been my AA from day one.
Let me ask this: as cool as all of this sounds, if somebody's a treatment center owner, they have a sober living, they've got something like that, is this something? Maybe they're thinking even the protocols that they have aren't working, or insurance, whatever it would be, and they're thinking of changing. Is this something that might be licensed out? I mean, I know that they can get NAD, but there's a lot of things that you mentioned, and then there's, of course, the recipe, if you will, for the whole thing. Is this something that could be licensed to other places or positions?
Yeah, we're not Coca-Cola or Pepsi or Chips Ahoy or
not secret 11 herbs and spices.
No, we don't have a secret sauce. I mean, yeah, this is a secret sauce when you put them all together. We don't want to do this just so we can get people better and people come to us. We want people to get better. That's my mission. That's why I started Heartstrings Foundation with Rowan Pickering and Damon Elliott, Dionne Warwick's son, and Dion's on board, and all the other people, because we're spreading a movement that this is part of what needs to be done. And for people that can't afford it or don't have insurance, we're setting up a whole scholarship fund so they can get these kind of treatments.
So cool.
And if it's not at my place, we'll send them somewhere else.
If you're a doctor, what if I thought I saw on the website, like it said inquire, is it like a franchise? If you're in a different city and you're thinking, I might want to bring this here, what about that?
We're certainly open to talking to people about helping them build this model in their treatment center. Well, detoxes, yeah, you can work in a detox, but they don't have all the equipment. It works better in a hospital as a hospital model. But here's the problem. A lot of people are like, I don't want to be in a hospital. I don't want to stay in a hospital. Our amenities are nice. They're private rooms, and you have a flat screen TV and a private bathroom and all that. That's great. But it works in a hospital because the equipment and the staff is there, and it's mostly medical staff. Can it be done in a detox setting? Sure. There's some detoxes out there that are equipped to do this, and will help anyone to do it and get it right. But this has got to be done under, I believe, under medical supervision.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So what about somebody that's just watching and thinking, maybe I've been in rehab, they're not sober now, or they love somebody that's not sober, and they're thinking, well, maybe this is for me or not. How do they kind of discover? Again, we'll put the phone number and everything in here. They can call, but is there any kind of questions that they had to ask themselves, I guess, thinking like, maybe this is for me or my son, daughter, husband, wife, brother?
Do they want their life back? Do they want their life back? Do they really want to get? Do they want to get clean? Do they want to really heal themselves? And this is not cliche. I'm not kidding you. It truly is the mind, the body, and the spirit. A lot of people go on any website for any treatment center, and I even told the administration here at the hospital, like Michelle and Dr. Vo and Dr. Chang and everyone else, they said, look, everyone, you go on any website and it says, we work on a mind, body, and spirit program, or a mind, body, and soul.
Right.
Yeah. Show me it. Show me how you're really working on it. Because when you're working on the mind, you're working on the psychological aspect. When you're working on the body, what are you doing to work on your body? Sending people to a gym? No. We truly work on the body. We work on the organs and the brain and so on and so forth. And the soul we work on as well. So we really treat every aspect of this horrible, horrible disease that's going to help them get better.
Really, man. I mean, this is kind of why when I had the first kind of couple calls on this, I got pretty excited. I knew, like I said, I knew some of it. The other stuff I didn't know, but the more that I hear about it, really the more excited I get about it.
I guarantee you, in 3 to 6 months down the line, when we start featuring different articles about the different things we're doing.
Yeah, we're going to do a whole thing on this. Yep.
But you are going to start doing neurotherapy. You're going to do NAD. You're going to be on Enlight. You know why? Because it's good for everybody, not just people with addiction.
I personally would love to be on any of that stuff.
It's amazing. I even did ketamine. I didn't have to, but when I have a protocol, I want to know what it's like. So I actually went and did all these things. I did NAD.
All right, I'm on it, man. I'm going to be on it.
But you know what? It makes you feel. Look, I'm 59 with a 5 and 7-year-old. Something's got to keep me going.
Yeah.
or I lose my mind. But everyone around me is falling apart, and I continue to get better and better. And it's just because I follow my own the advice given to me that I've implemented in this. And I don't just talk about it. I do it. So many people will talk the talk. They don't walk the walk. I walk.
But the main thing is there's data behind this. You're dealing with at hospitals with doctors. I mean,
it's evidence-based. It's evidence-based, and if you do any research on the protocols that we're using, your jaw will drop, and you'll say, "Why isn't everyone doing this?" And again, it comes down to money. We don't care. We're taking Medicare people. We're taking people with in-network and out-of-network, and if they don't have the money and the insurance doesn't cover it, we're not going to say we're not giving it to you.
Wow.
If your insurance runs out and they're not done, we're keeping you. And yes, we will have treatment center. I did that in my treatment center too, though. When I had my treatment center, if people's insurance ran out, I kept them until they were ready to go. And my partners, that's one of the reasons why I left my treatment center, because my partners, we agreed to give a certain amount of scholarships and keep people when they left, even if their insurance ran out and they wanted to kick them out. I said, no, you have to agree that we're going to keep people, and they did, until the money started coming in. And then, like, we need more beds, we need this bed. I'm like, no, I didn't sign up for this. And it's a shame, but that's the way the industry works.
It's really amazing. Well, we want to, talk to the doctors. We want to talk to some of the patients. We want to talk. I mean, this is.
Well, we're gonna have you and Sherry down there. We're doing a panel discussion in Houston the end of February. Of course, we're gonna have you and Sherry there. We'd love to have you be part of it. We have people from all over the country coming in, specifically people from Tonics, doing the neuro, doing NAD. And the owner of Enlight is coming. So everyone's going to hear about this, and the medical community and the treatment community is going to have it at their feet. If they decide to pick the ball up and run with it like we are, God bless them, because more people will get better, and we'll cut down on this relapse and this death rate.
Every single article, interview, everything that we do in Recovery Today has to have it's a litmus test of hope. It's got to have hope, but like, geez, man, this is just like top to bottom. I mean,
well, you've done some pretty great articles too. You know, I've followed the magazine and read them. You really hit people where you hit them in their heartstrings, for lack of better terms, although that's our foundation. Yeah. But you do. And you have some really great people coming on and talking about it from everybody. I mean, yeah. And I think that's important. You're saying, look, we're all part of this, and doing what you're doing, our radio show, you're sending a message out there, and you're trying. At least we're trying. It doesn't mean, even if we're not successful, we're doing what we can. We're doing our part. And I'm just taking it a step further to give them more and offer them a better chance. So
cool. So cool. Well, you know, that sounds like a good spot to kind of bring this first feature in for landing, but I appreciate the time, and I'm really excited about this. So you can get back. We'll have the website in here. We'll have the phone number. I don't know it offhand, but we'll feature all of that in here and learn more about this. It's going to be cool. If you're a treatment center or whatever, you can. I mean, there's a lot of different options, and so we're going to be covering this kind of ongoing. But thanks so much for your time. I'm pretty excited about this.
Well, the reason why we called it Ascend is because we truly rise above everyone else that's doing in the detox and treatment industry.
I love that.
Yep.
I love that.
Yep.
Really awesome. All right, well, this has been another exclusive interview with Michael Lohan, Recovery Today Magazine, recoverytodaymagazine.com. And if you hang on just a second, Michael, I'll clear out the recording, and thanks so much.
You got it, brother. Thank you.